Just three ordinary guys trying to understand the crazy world around them. We don't have all the answers, but we've got all the questions. You're listening to Just Add Bourbon with Jimmy, JD, and Brad.
Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
I'm Brad Broaddus.
And I'm JD Damon.
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of eastern Kentucky. Guys, how's quarantine been this week?
Same old for me, man. Just working, eating, and sleeping,
So has it really, I think for all of us, I know I still go to work every day. It's not as busy as it normally is, but I think people are starting to get bored at home. I was a lot busier this week than I had been. So I think the people who aren't going to work every day have been looking at houses, calling in, asking questions. And then, Brad, I know you're going every day. And, JD, for you, has it really, quarantine outside of coming home in the evenings, has it really changed much?
No, other than just, I'm not an introvert. I'm definitely an extrovert. But the only thing that's really changed for me is going out in the evening time. Watching the sports, baseball and softball is supposed to be in season. That's a big deal for me. I enjoy that. But the only thing that's changed for me is my evenings, really. And yeah. I'm picking up a little bit of drinking.
Well, for me,
you drink?
No.
No, he's like, never. We our most popular episode is JD. That would be Christmas. We won't go back and listen to that one. If you're listening, go back and check out the Christmas episode, and JD entertains us all. For me, the same thing. For me, it's, I go to work, I come home. We just don't really go anywhere in the evenings, JD. I'm like you, normally we're running it somewhere, so the evenings. And then the weekends, we don't really go anywhere either. We just kind of hang around the house, work. I know Brad and I got together last night and, put together some jigsaw puzzles. No, we actually did. We cooked out and just kind of hung out. We're all kind of around each other anyway, so we kind of hung out some last night. But I worked outside all day yesterday, spraying off porches and all that. But JD, I will tell you the one thing I did do. We talked a little bit about it last week on the show, but I watched Tiger King, and I didn't just watch Tiger King. I watched it all in one sitting.
You devoured it.
Did that make you feel dirty when you got done?
I have never felt so dumb in my life. Like I was dumber for watching the show. And I knew it 15 minutes in. And I could not stop. Literally, Amy got up after episode 1, probably somewhere in the middle of episode 2. Amy got up and said, I cannot watch this trash anymore. And I said, I can't stop. And I texted JD and I said, dude, I am killing this thing. And JD's, what did you ask me? What was your...
I said, how far are you in? You said, all the way.
Yeah, I'm all the way in. And JD said, do you feel like, are you disappointed in yourself that you like this so much? And I was like, yes, but I still can't stop.
Yeah.
I just couldn't stop watching. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Really. I've never seen anything like, number one, the fact that you would raise tigers, right? And then, look, I think Brad said it last week, every situation is a train wreck. There's probably, 4 different people they're really kind of talking to. And one guy, he's actually from Kentucky, or he's from Indiana, he's just across the border there. As one ends up out there working on that one park after Joe, disappears.
The Martin guy.
Yeah. So, the one, like Joe Exotic, I don't even know what to say. Like, I've never watched a show like that where I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever watched and I cannot stop.
When I was getting introduced to it, I had some buddies message me, like, man, you got to watch Tiger King. They was like, it gets weirder and weirder every show. So I watched the first show and I was like, there's no way it's going to get weirder from here. I was wrong. The layers and layers and layers of craziness is mind blowing. And I'm like you, Jimmy Don. Like, I just could not turn it off. But I got to be impressed. I got to tell you, I am impressed that you sat down and was able to take all that in one sitting. That is impressive. And my favorite part, though, is I texted Jimmy Don. We was texting back and forth. I said, so what show you on? He said, the last one right now. And I guess Amy walked in the room and said, "Are you still watching this junk?"
Yeah.
She was so disappointed.
She was so disappointed in me. And I mean, what could I say? She's right.
Right. Absolutely right.
I mean, she's totally right, Brad. The fact that I sat down and I just killed it. I mean, and I just couldn't stop. I mean, I can't get over his, number one, okay, look, there's so many things to talk about. Let's just start here. Number one, the songs. The first time I heard, what's the name of the song? Man saw tiger, and tiger saw man. I saw a tiger.
And tiger saw man.
And tiger saw man. I was like, what is this? And then I don't even think he's actually singing it, is he?
No, I think somebody else is
I
responsible.
think somebody's actually singing it.
But listen to me. When I was watching the show, the first time Here Kitty Kitty come on, I was pissing myself laughing in the floor. I mean, I thought I was going to go to the nursery room. My side was hurting. Yeah. That was the craziest thing ever.
And then his videos, and then you've got all these different people. Like, the guy I was probably the most impressed with was the dude in Myrtle Beach. I mean,
the guy that rode the elephant?
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody that rides an elephant on their own property gets my respect.
Dude, he just rode it out into the water. Him and his girl. And then he had, 3 or 4 wives who weren't unattractive. And apparently they work nonstop. And they love it.
I bet he's read Brad's book. The Carnegie book.
Yeah, right.
How to Win Girlfriends and Ride Elephants.
I'll read that book.
What I thought was one of the wildest things is you're watching this show and you've got all of these crazy characters and convicts and whatever else you got going. But from the people I've talked to, the most hated, shady person on the show is Carol Baskin, who's supposed to be the one saving these tigers.
Right, so let's talk about Carol Baskin. So
Jimmy Don's got excited.
So a couple things that stuck out to me. The fact that Joe Exotic had his own TV show, and he basically did nothing but talk about this Carol Baskin chick. And apparently she killed her husband. I 100% believe that she killed her husband. And I 100% believe that she put sardine oil on him and the tiger ate him. I 100% believe that, because that was one of the things that...
I can't even believe we're having this conversation, but carry on.
No, I mean, like Joe, I guess he's doing a campaign video, right? I mean, dude ran for governor. Those campaign videos were just phenomenal.
I've had some kinky sex.
But, and I guess he's shooting the campaign video, and this tiger starts, going after his feet or something. And he said, somebody put cologne on my feet. The tiger, and Carol Baskin says, that's ridiculous. If you were going to, do that and have somebody, go after him, you would put sardine oil all over him. I was like, you just confessed to how you killed your husband.
Yeah, it was I gotta be honest though, the best thing that has come out of any of this was the memes, man.
Oh my goodness.
We tried to put a post on our Facebook where the people could post their memes, but it wouldn't work. So I did it on my personal. And dude, I got some of the best. But I seen the best one today. Have you guys watched? Of course, you watched The Hangover, right? You remember the day after the night, the guy wakes up and he goes to the bathroom and he's peeing and there's a tiger in there. So that's Carol Baskin's husband going to use the bathroom at 4 a.m.
I don't know if I sent you all the one. The memes. There's a million of them, and like the girl and the guy are laying in the bed.
Yeah.
And like he's turned over and she's saying, I bet he's thinking about another girl, and then he's thinking about something stupid. But it's that picture, and she said, the caption over her says, I bet he's thinking about how he's going to save our family from the coronavirus. And then his caption says, I can't believe this whole time I could have got a tiger for $2,000.
I saw that one. That's a good one. And let's talk about this. So Joe Exotic is gay. He has 2 husbands.
Who are not gay.
Who it turns out neither one are gay. Because apparently they're sleeping with everybody that works.
Everyone. Mm-hmm.
Everybody that works there. The one ends up leaving Joe for the girl who worked the front desk because she's pregnant.
It's not the one that got her arm meat off by a tiger, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, she's transgender.
Yeah.
Okay. He's transgender? I don't know how to say that right. I don't know.
But, and then the other thing too, Ashton actually told me this. Ashton watched it, and she said, here's the thing I don't get, Dad. Carol's supposed to be this good person. She's all about the tigers. She's doing the exact same thing they are, and she doesn't pay her people. They all work for free.
So, kind of the big picture of this show, I don't know what you all thought about. This is kind of what I gathered from it. If you take each one of these characters, and I'm being serious here, they're all cult leaders, right, of different groups. Like Joe Exotic gets the people that are down on their luck, and he gets them in there and to fall in love with him and his big picture of what he wants to do. You got the elephant rider that brings those women in as, like late teens, early 20s, brings them in, has them, does the same thing. They kind of fall in love with his dream and him. And then you got Carol Baskin, who brings in all these people to work for free, thinking, they're coming in as these bleeding hearts trying to save these tigers, not realizing, like you said, not only is she doing the same thing, but they're working for free.
Like, one of the things that made me cackle out laughing, she was like, tigers shouldn't be in cages. Here's my tigers. I was like, yeah, they're in cages, lady.
And worse cages than Joe Exotic had.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude in Myrtle Beach looked kind of legit. Other than he's obviously a cult leader, but he did ride an elephant.
Right.
And he
gets a pass.
And he had kind of a legit property, and all his wives have nice houses, inside this property, and it kind of looked legit. And I forget, somebody told me today that they actually followed them on Instagram. All their, all the different had for a while before that even came out. So,
yeah, I mean, I think you can make fun of all the characters, and I bash Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin and all these other people, but if a man that has 3 wives and rides an elephant, when he talks, I listen.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. He has figured something out that we have not.
I'll tell you who I hate worse than Carol Baskin is the Garrettson guy with the terrible haircut. Like, are we not going to recognize this guy had the worst haircut of anybody on the show?
Oh, yeah.
And nobody's talking about that. And I feel like I need to bring up the people's attention.
And if you got a worse haircut than Joe Exotic,
it's worth mentioning, right? But I feel like him and Jeff Lowe are the biggest pieces of crap on the planet, man. Honestly. Like, I wouldn't piss on them if they was on fire, man. That's what
I don't know how the Jeff Lowe guy's not in jail yet.
Well, I mean, he's got numerous felonies, but I feel like Joe Exotic would say that. I think he's definitely guilty of what he did, was accused of.
I think he definitely wanted to kill Carol Baskin. He wanted to hire somebody to kill her, but I think the Lowe guy set him up.
For sure, yeah. And I tell you what, I wouldn't want Alan Glover coming looking for me, would you?
Mm-mm.
He looks like a bad comrade, man. Like,
yeah, he looks like a bad dude. And he was like, and again, I go back to the one, I don't know his name. He didn't have any teeth.
Josh. He had 3.
And then who?
yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about were there any good characters? Like because nobody on that show really had any redeeming qualities except for maybe Howard. Carol's husband, but he's batshit crazy for marrying her. And then that wedding photo.
Dude, that's what I'm looking for in my life. I don't know about you all. And so I sent a picture to the man. I said, if we ain't trying to do this, then we're wasting our time. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. Howard is the husband that every woman deserves. Let's just
they had the wedding photo with the dressed like a tiger and a leash. And
woo. And then I thought the guy, he didn't have any legs.
Yeah, he was a good dude, man.
He seemed like a good guy.
Yeah.
And, he liked the animals and liked being there. And, he seemed like a pretty good guy. I'm sure he's done some, because, I mean, it turns out maybe Joe Exotic euthanized some of the animals and,
So what are you supposed to do with a cat that's sick or old and hurting? What are you supposed to do? Like, I don't understand the charges. Like, what are you supposed to do, Brad? What do you do to them? Do you have to take them to be euthanized?
I mean, he's got 240 of them on his property.
We're in Eastern Kentucky.
Not killing many of them.
If your dog gets sick in a bad way, I'm not going to go pay $200 for the vet to put him down. We're going to walk up in the back holler, and he's not going to walk back. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I wrong here? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't either necessarily. I mean, because
what do you, Brad? You got to? I'd like to see your take on this, honestly.
Well, I mean, just like with horses, a horse breaks a leg. I mean, I don't know.
I don't either. I really didn't get it. I mean, and the guy had 240 some animals on his property. He's not euthanizing a lot of them if he is. They may get old or get hurt, like you said. And then, I mean, any vet's going to put an animal down like that. It's better to put them down than it is to let them suffer.
I missed that. So were they saying that they should have went to the vet?
Well, they hit him with the cruelty to animal charges, right?
Yeah.
And they, because the gun for hire charge was so weak, they threw his other charges on top to make everything stick. And so that's how he got so much time.
Yeah, no, I said it was. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get that part either, JD. I was like, well, I mean, what's he supposed to do?
Right.
And and of course, our man is asking for Trump to give him a pardon, which I told JD, I said it'd be the most Trump thing ever if he pardons Joe Exotic.
And I agreed.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to make a movie about this. I mean,
So let's talk about this then. Who plays Joe Exotic? Is it Danny McBride or is it David Spade?
I mean, David Spade has already done it well, right? I mean, when he played Joe Dirt.
Right.
But Danny McBride is kind of this day and age as Joe Dirt. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of this day and age as David Spade. I think I would have to go with Danny McBride if I was going to pick.
What's you, Brad? You got a preference?
I don't know. I mean, Joe Dirt had a lot of Joe Exotic qualities. I would say some highlights, and he'd be right there.
Yeah.
What was it you said, JD? And it was so right on. Like, it was the very first thing I thought of. If Joe Dirt and
Jessica White
had a baby, it would be Joe Exotic. Nothing, and that's immediately what I thought when I saw him for the first time. Yeah. That was so good. But
He's a train wreck, man. Train wreck.
So, and it turns out, apparently, did we confirm that Joe Exotic has coronavirus?
I think he was just in coronavirus isolation, but I think now he's back in wherever I don't know if he was in jail then and they took him back to prison, or I don't know, but he apparently does not have coronavirus, but he was in isolation for it until the last couple days.
And how thankful are the people who made Tiger King for the coronavirus? Because nobody could leave home, dude, and it exploded. I mean, that's all you saw for weeks.
And now, just in the last, just saw this right before we got here, that a tiger in the Bronx Zoo has tested positive for coronavirus.
Like, that's almost the universe speaking to you guys.
But but here's the question that I have.
All right.
Is why was this tiger tested for the coronavirus?
That's a great question.
That is, really.
Like, why would you just not feeling bad? Well, let's test it for the coronavirus and see if it's got it. And the fact that it has the coronavirus, if that is even true, is ridiculous.
And just the timing of it. Like, all this happens, then you have Joe Exotic, and then all of a sudden, we can't test these people, but we've tested a tiger in the Bronx Zoo.
So do you think that the people at Netflix said that we've got the coronavirus, everybody's stuck at home, let's put this insanity out? Or was it was due to release, it came out, and people watched it and were like, oh my God, and it just blew up like The Godfather?
No, I mean, I've not confirmed this, but I had the feeling that this Tiger King was probably not supposed to be put out for a while, but then everybody was stuck at home and they was like, we got these people. We got you, homie.
Hey, we want to dumb down America. Tiger King.
No, and Disney Plus, took Frozen, the Frozen franchise, and put it on their streaming, and they released Frozen 2, and
JD's
Netflix
watched it 9 times.
Huh?
I said JD's watched it 9 times.
So, I'm going to admit to you, I did watch Frozen 2 by myself. Like, that's probably gets my man card removed. I understand that, but I did.
Did you cry?
Guys, I appreciate you listening. That's the end of the Just Add Bourbon podcast.
But I think Netflix was like, all right, you want Frozen? You want to release Frozen 2? Let's see if we can compete with you a little bit right here.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I said, which now I've watched, which I do watch a little TV, in the winter, because that's when my business slows down.
Right.
I'm usually not out in the evenings. It's cold. You can't get out and do things. So I watch a lot of TV. I've watched an immense amount of TV, since the coronavirus come out. And, I was trying to think about it, the things that I've watched, Game of Thrones, Tiger King. How do you even compare those two? It's not even the same thing.
Well, you say that, but we got a lady who identifies as a man with no hand. We have. I sent you that. Didn't I send you that meme that compared to
No.
all the people? Oh, man. Like, I think Tiger King is basically Game of Thrones redneck style. Plus tigers. Which is not a bad combination. But the people are trying to say that the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia is as good as Tiger King. They've lost their mind. It's nowhere near as good.
No, Tiger King's a lot better than the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. I mean, everybody should watch the Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. It will put you in about the same, mindset. I mean,
I'd rather not do that again myself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got up. Amy said, "Are you coming to bed?" And I'm drooling, and I'm like, "Yeah." I had to go read a book just to, try to smarten myself back up for the next day after what I just watched. I really was disappointed in myself, JD. I don't.
But, with Joe Exotic being put in isolation, this Tiger getting the coronavirus, don't it feel like we're living in almost like a simulation? Like, how's this possible? Does this seem real to you guys?
No. It's one of those things that is, it's so ridiculous that there's no way it's true, right? But it is. It's happening right now. I mean, are we living in the Matrix?
I feel like Stephen King wrote 2020. I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of fearful of what's going to come in April here.
I'm scared to death too, man. I said, what is going... Like, I heard the other day, JD, and Brad and I talked about this a little bit on the way over here, is they're talking about maybe canceling college football. I know. March is generally my favorite time of the year because of March Madness. It has been... I'm going to chalk this up as the worst March in history and try to move on. But if they cancel college football, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm going to have a serious drinking problem. I'm going to tell you right now. That's going to be tough on me.
I mean, because I go to all the UK home football games. I mean, they had WrestleMania, I think, last night with no fans.
Yeah, I think the part 2's out. I think they're doing 2-part.
Oh, I don't know. I guess they taped it,
so.
right? And
I don't know.
But they did WrestleMania with no fans.
No college football would definitely be a glitch in the Matrix.
Right? I mean, because and I guess you've got these ADs at all these schools coming out and saying, look, we got to play college football. If we don't, we can't make our budgets.
Right.
We have to play. And so I don't know if it's going to go to they just play without any fans because, I mean, the big money's in the TV deals, right? So
let me ask you guys this. I almost feel like we're at the point where we set a date and, President Trump or somebody says, look, in 3 weeks, we're shutting everything down for 2 weeks. Everything. I don't want nobody on the roads. I don't want nobody nowhere. I almost feel like we're at a point where that would be better. What do you guys feel about that?
No, I'm kind of there too. I mean, I get it. Just seems like as long as we have people still out, because I actually closed a loan for some people the other day. It was the weirdest loan closing in history.
Right.
Because I literally had him come in. We had hand sanitizer on, and I made him come in one at a time. Like people stayed outside. One person came in and signed. We wiped pens down. I had on gloves. I mean, like I was trying to be legit, and they asked me to because they both work in the medical field. And I asked them, I said, look, is this BS or is this, is this legit? And they said, no, this is legit. This virus is real. It's different. It's different. People are reacting to it different. It's different. Take it serious. I said, well, I'm trying to because they asked me to, do all this. Right. So I did. And, so, I mean, it was just really strange, but I'm almost of the opinion that maybe we should just shut the country down. All right, next week, everybody get to the store, get stocked up, nobody leave their house for 2 weeks. And then hopefully that would kill it out, or at least stop it, whatever. It seems like that would make sense rather than keep doing what we're doing. I get why we're doing what we're doing. You don't want to, just stop everything altogether. But one thing, and whichever one of you wants to respond, I was talking to him and I looked up the numbers and the percentage of deaths versus cases is just like 0.02%. Globally, it's 0.02. So 2%.
Right.
That's low. That's not really high.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. That's true. But so put this in perspective a little bit. I've got like 1,500 friends on Facebook. So that's like 22 people, 2% is. Like, could you go through your Facebook and pick out the 22 people to die?
No, and that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. But, and there has been like a high number of famous people.
Yeah.
I find that odd.
Well, they live in suburban areas, a lot of interaction.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I
could be
think
right.
some of that too is if you got money, you're probably going to have better ways to get tested. Whereas, the poorest of the communities are going to have more confirmations last just because accessibility, I would think.
That makes sense. And like I said, again, it's one of those things. I was just looking at those numbers, trying to really understand what's happening.
So, one of the things, I had 2 questions today that I've not really heard anybody answer. That I asked myself, and I looked them up. One of them was, who is patient 0? Do you guys know who patient 0 is?
I don't know, but I heard that maybe they had an idea now of who it was. I feel like I read that, but I don't know. I personally don't know.
They can't figure it out. That's one of the problems with this. They don't know. They're suspecting that this guy was at the market, Wuhan or whatever. And why do you think they think it came from an animal instead of a lab? Do you guys know that? I thought that was an interesting question too. Like how they know that this thing originated with animals instead of built in a lab. Have you guys heard anybody talk about that? I thought that was an interesting question. And so I looked that up. And this is pretty interesting. So let me see if I can find it here. This is, I know, amazing radio.
Do, 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 do.
No, let's see here.
That's just that bourbon sound effect.
Go ahead and talk. You
Brad, I want to go back. I feel like we glossed over something.
What you got?
Are we living in the Matrix?
I'm not one of the people that believes that we're plugged into the Matrix. However, I will say that I think if you think more like, have y'all seen the Truman Show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, where I do think that a lot of reality is built around us. That almost reality in a way is engineered by the information that we're constantly bombarded with, whether it be the TV, whether it be the radio, whether it be... So just with media in general, and we bash the media a lot, I know, and we won't stop. But, the media does not tell us what to think. They tell us what to think about. So it's all about getting the public conscious on one specific topic. And if you don't think that happens every day, we're sitting here, we've spent the last 45 minutes talking about Joe Exotic and his tigers. We spent the last month talking about coronavirus, which is obviously a big thing. But how many things were so important a month or 2 months ago? I mean, important enough for people to be out protesting and picketing with signs because that was the most important thing on the planet. And the stuff's not important again. Now, granted, I'm not talking about on a scale of with the virus. Obviously, the virus is enough to make a lot of things not important. But how often does that happen just in normal times where you don't have a virus and something is being put in your ear every time you turn on the radio? It's in front of you every time you turn on the TV. And how many things are important to you because they're important to you as a human being? Or are they important to you because you have been force-fed that they are supposed to be important to you? And I think certain things as you get, especially with the internet now, and, we joked that one episode when I was talking about making up words. What did I say? Metrics?
Yeah, metrics.
Metrics. I use that daily now.
But when you've got things like that go across the internet, if you can get people's attention focused on one thing and their energy focused on one thing, I do believe that actually kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If you get X amount of people looking in the same direction, it's no different than as an individual when you're setting goals and do things and you focus on, you get tunnel vision on one thing. You've got a heck of a lot better chance of achieving it. Well, I think when you talk about the populace, groups of people focusing on one thing, and it also works in reverse. If you can keep people, if you can deflect their attention away from one thing, then you can make it not important anymore. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we live in the Matrix.
So back to my point about being built in a lab or natural cause. And this is from Live Science. It says, if scientists had deliberately engineered this virus, they wouldn't have chosen mutations that computer models suggest won't work. But it turns out nature is smarter than scientists. And the novel coronavirus found a way to mutate that was better and completely different from anything scientists could have created, the study found. Another nail in the escape from the evil lab theory, the overall molecular structure of this virus is distinct from the known coronaviruses and instead mostly resembles viruses found in bats and pangolins that had little been studied and never known to cause humans any harm. If someone were seeking to engineer a new coronavirus as a pathogen, they would have constructed it from the backbone of a virus known to cause illnesses. And so what they're saying is nature has found another way to outsmart us and create a deadlier virus than we could have created in a lab, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Here's something else that's crazy, and I don't know anything about this. I'm just going to ask you all since we're sitting here talking. Somewhere in California, some dude took a train off the rails. Did y'all see that?
I did not.
Yeah.
Did we ever determine...
Trying to hit the Navy ship?
Yeah, it was trying to hit the Navy ship. Did we ever determine... I mean, obviously the dude was crazy, but I mean, why he was doing that? I just saw that happened, but did they ever determine why?
I don't know. It was like he was saying that the Navy ship was bad, and I don't know the whole story. It was kind of a bizarre story, but yeah,
you didn't see it, JD?
I mean, he admitted he did it on purpose. You know, he was an engineer, right? And took this thing going how many miles now and went. I don't know how he thought he was going to make it to the ship because it didn't make it that far. But
which is more proof we live in the Matrix, by the way.
Right? Yes, more proof. Yes, we live in the Matrix. That's okay. As long as I can dodge bullets, you know, be like Neo. Can I be the one? You know, I want to be the one. That's a great movie, by the way. If you know, recommendations. If you've never seen the Matrix trilogy, that's really good. So speaking of movies, JD, I think you know we were talking before. We're all just kind of tired of talking about the coronavirus because obviously that is the most important thing, and that was a good point that you made earlier. I want to say that 2%. You know, how could you pick, you know,
Right.
and that's a great point. And that's why we probably all ought to stay safe and do the best we can to practice social distancing. And much like we're doing here tonight, I mean, we're far apart trying to do this. And usually JD and I come in here and hug and man hug it up and carry on. And we're foot tapping and we're just walking by each other. So everybody stay safe. But with that
I prefer it this way.
You like it this way? We're not this close. You like
He prefers me not
I've
to
been
touch him. Let's
social
be clear.
distancing for years.
That's what I was going to say. Brad has practiced social distancing. He, you know, I come down. I thought it was something I was doing, but you know, I would step 6 feet to him. He would move further away. He's been doing that forever. I don't know. But anyway, so we thought we would do a few fun things tonight, and JD came up with a movie bracket. Is it Mafia movies?
Organized crime. Mostly Mafia movies, yeah. So I made a 16-man bracket, Mafia movies. Our top 4 seeds are The Godfather, Goodfellas, Scarface, and The Departed.
Ooh, those are good.
So we'll start.
Now, how are we going to determine? Do we have to vote?
We're going to vote. We're going to vote, and then we'll move forward.
Whichever wins moves forward. Okay,
yeah.
I'm with it.
So first matchup is The Godfather and Casino.
God, I really like both those movies a lot. I mean, you know, you've got De Niro. De Niro's not in the first Godfather, is he? But you got Marlon Brando, and then Casino, you've got De Niro, Pesci. I mean, it's great, dude. Those are great movies. But I have to go with The Godfather. Godfather's probably one of the best gangster movies ever made.
I'm going with Casino.
Ooh.
That'd be a big upset in the first round.
No, I'm going to go with Godfather. I'm going with Godfather.
So Godfather moves on.
The next matchup is Lawless and Reservoir Dogs.
Lawless is good too.
That's Shia LaBeouf and Tom Hardy. That's a really, really good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Prohibition, yeah.
But I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan, but I do want to bring this up. I'm going to vote Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
But I watched a Tarantino movie the other night. It was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Have you seen that?
No, I heard it was really good though, but weird.
It's weird.
Like it's like a different alternate ending and all that stuff.
Yeah.
With like Inglourious Bastards, you know.
Yeah, it's what it is. It was weird. Like I'm gonna have to watch it again because Amy was with me and she just hates that kind of movie, and so she was like, "It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen." But I was like, "Well, this might be okay."
That must have been after she watched the first episode of Tiger King.
Oh my god, she's questioning who I am right now as a person. Brad, Reservoir Dogs or Lawless? I went with Reservoir Dogs.
Lawless.
I want Lawless too.
That's a good call. Lawless is a good movie. But I'm a big Reservoir Dogs fan.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
It was tough. That was a tough matchup, man. I thought that was a... Okay, so Scarface or The Untouchables?
Ooh. Look, just for the fact that Scarface is probably one of the biggest gangster movies. I don't care what rapper you see, they've got a Scarface poster up. Tony Montana... I mean, you know,
Maybe Pacino's best role, man.
Maybe his best role ever. I mean, I don't know. Sin of a Woman's really good the
yeah.
way he plays Sin of a Woman. But I got to go Scarface. I love Scarface.
Yeah, I've watched Untouchables 8,000 times, and it's a great movie. But I gotta go with Scarface.
Scarface it is for me too. So that's
Clean sweep for Scarface. Yeah, that's a great movie.
all right. Donnie Brasco and American Gangster.
I'm a big Donnie Brasco fan. Now I like American Gangster. It's Denzel, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's a good movie. But I'm a big Donnie Brasco fan because I think Johnny Depp, you know, being the undercover cop, and
It's a true story too.
it's a true story, and then Pacino's great in that as well. Pacino's in all these movies. There's a tiger in that movie too? In there, don't they get a tiger for one of the bosses?
It's been a while since I've seen
I
it.
think so. But I'm Donnie Brasco.
I want American Gangster on this one.
Or,
I love Denzel, man. I think he's one of the best actors of our generation. What do you think?
Yeah, as far as the movie, I like Donnie Brasco better, but I thought that was an awesome movie. And it's supposed to be based on a true story, I think, but then I was reading some stuff on it that said that it was very loosely based on a true story, and that kind of took a little bit away for me, but Denzel's awesome in that, but yeah, Donnie Brasco.
So Donnie Brasco moves on.
It is. No, Denzel's the man. I mean, he really is.
Yeah.
I love Denzel.
All right, so Goodfellas and Miami Vice.
Oh, that's easy for me. Goodfellas is easy.
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is
They were just overwhelmed with that one. The Irishman or Carlito's Way? The Irishman's a new one. Like, I ain't even watched it yet. Really
I've watched it. It's good. It's a Scorsese movie. It is like 10 hours long. It's not really, but it's a long movie.
Right.
I actually sat down. I had to watch it over 3 days. Carlito's Way's great. Carlito's Way for me.
Carlito's Way.
Yeah, that's
And
clean sweep.
If it took you 3 settings to watch it, then it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as Carlito's
I mean, it
Way.
was good, but it was, I don't know.
The Departed or Public Enemies? It's Johnny Depp, too.
Yeah, Public Enemies is a good movie, but I really like The Departed.
The Departed is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Flavor Flav.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
No, I'm Departed all the way. That's one of my favorites.
Departed.
Departed it is. New Jack City or Road to Perdition? Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good movie, but New Jack City is one of those movies. Wesley Snipes, you know, back in the day, like
Kills it.
We'll talk about this when we talk about our favorite albums. But New Jack City was one of those, and the track, what was it? I think Ice-T did a song for New Jack City. I can't even think of it, but it is awesome. New Jack City, all the way.
New Jack City.
Yeah, New Jack City for me, too. All right, so that brings us to The Godfather and Lawless.
To me, I mean, Lawless is really good, but Godfather for me is just one of the best ever.
Godfather.
We are going with the original Godfather.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not Godfather
I didn't
2.
do that, yeah. Okay. So I would have voted Lawless, but Godfather moves on. All right, Scarface or Donnie Brasco?
Scarface.
Probably Scarface. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
Scarface,
so
yeah.
classic. That's a classic gangster movie.
Goodfellas or Carlito's Way?
Goodfellas for
Goodfellas.
me. Yeah. Goodfellas is awesome.
I agree. The Departed or New Jack City?
For me, I'm going Departed. I mean, I love New Jack City, but Departed for me is... I'm like JD. That's one of my favorite movies. I love The Departed.
New Jack City.
I went with The Departed. The party moves on. So now we got Scarface and Godfather.
Boy. I mean, for straight up gangster movies, that's really hard. Straight up gangster movie, Godfather's more of the traditional, mafioso. Scarface is just a stone cold killer. Like, I mean, they cut a dude up in the bathtub with a chainsaw.
Yes, they did. I think it's points for me right there. And Michelle Pfeiffer was in it.
And when he's sitting there at the table with those piles of cocaine, and he's snorting the cocaine.
Tony Montana.
Say hello to my little friend. And that's one of the, say hello to my little friend. That's one of the best lines ever.
You're stalling, Jimmy.
I really am, because I don't know how to vote here, because I feel like I'm going.
Scarface for me.
Scarface moves on, man.
Right. Well, I probably would have went Scarface. So, I don't know. I really like the Godfather, though. Godfather Part 2 is probably the best out of all of them.
Ooh, so Goodfellas or The Departed?
I'm going Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas.
I agree. As bad as I hate to, but so it gives us Goodfellas and Scarface for the championship round.
Goodfellas.
Probably Goodfellas. I mean, as far as what I like the best, I love Goodfellas.
Yeah, that's my jam too, man. I love Goodfellas.
Yeah, so I mean that's cool, JD, because I hadn't thought about a lot of those movies in a while, and I'm a big, I've read a lot of mafioso books. My uncle was really into the mafia too, so I've read a lot of those books. And Goodfellas, that's just classic, dude. You got De Niro, Pesci, and then you've got
Ray Liotta killed that role.
Killed that role, man. That's one of Ray Liotta's best roles ever. Polly. The
Karen was awesome in the movie.
Yeah, man, and she was ended up being in Sopranos. Yeah. Was the therapist. So that was cool. Yeah, but I think that's a good winner. Goodfellas.
Yeah. I feel like, man, I don't know if they're tired of listening to it, but I'm tired of talking about the coronavirus, and I think it's a good way. So we may do this more often. Throw some things in there like that. We did some the albums this week. We did the movies. But I also did a cool thing, man, this week. I told you guys about it. For the Huntington comedy scene, they wanted us to do a classical literature review, but it's a book you didn't read that you had to make up the whole story. And so I made up a story about Moby Dick, obviously, because I'm 12 years old. And so that was released. It's online now if you guys want to check that out.
Because I want to watch that. Where can you check that out?
I actually posted it on my Facebook, but it's Huntington Comedy. You can follow them on Facebook or Instagram, and it's on there.
I'll go check that out because I'll be interested to see that. You're actually a pretty good writer. JD's written a few things that he sent us, and it's actually JD does a nice job when he writes. So I'm interested to check that out.
Well, that's something different. I actually am doing a storytelling thing too. Like usually with the storytelling, you go to Huntington, and it's a place called the Sailor Door. And you go in there and you have a crowd and you tell a story. Of course, we can't have crowds now, so they're doing it virtually. And I seen in a story, and the theme was distance. That could be physical distance or, whatever you define as distance was. And so I wrote a story and sent it in. And if you guys want to check that out, I'll let you check it out before you leave. If you want to read that.
Cool.
But
I had a cool thing happen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You had a cool thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd because I actually like the guy that the book was written about. But for those who listen to KSR, Matt Jones and his buddy Chris Tomlin wrote a book called Mitch, Please. We've talked about it on here because that's one of the greatest titles ever. Mitch, Please. I still say that. The book came out this week, and I'm actually in the book. The basis of the book is Matt and Chris traveled across the state of Kentucky and visited all 120 counties and wrote something about each county. And the premise of the book is it's a McConnell bashing book. They're all the bad things that McConnell has done
or hasn't
done, for the people in the state of Kentucky and being one of the most powerful senators in the country. But it's also the sub-story is about Matt's decision to run for Senate, which we've talked about on here as well. And so I'm only about 3 chapters in, but each chapter covers probably, a section of the state. So the chapters are kind of long. But yeah, I'm in there, and the question that they asked me they wrote about the water crisis here, and that's how I got to know Chris. Chris and I have actually gotten to be pretty good friends, and he called and talked to me about that, and he said, well, look, when you were going through all this, who did you hear from? And I answered truthfully. that I heard from everybody except for McConnell's people. I don't recall ever talking to any. I talked to Rand Paul's people. I talked to Hal Rogers. Awesome. He did a lot for us. Talked to Governor Bevin more than one time. Actually got to sit down with him several times. Never heard from McConnell's people. And the line I said, and I don't even really remember saying it, but I said at least he could have called and lied to me. And that's actually the title of the chapter.
Oh, yeah. That's
for
cool.
Martin County is what I said, and it's actually on the back of the book, too.
Oh, cool.
The Martin County part. So I don't care who you are. It's pretty cool to see your name in print in a book that's going to end up being a New York Times bestseller, most likely. Yeah. And the fact that, your name's in there, I'm not going to lie to you. It's pretty cool. I don't normally like to brag about stuff like that. And it's not really, a book. I didn't write the book.
Right.
But I'm in it.
Right.
And which is pretty cool. Brad was in a book one time too, weren't you? Like some jokes for a.
Yeah, it was a comedy parroting tweet book. But it just had my name by my material. I didn't have an article about me. Like you went top shelf on me. Like I thought I was cool because I was in a book before, and now you've kind of just.
I got a message. Jason Rundle, shout out. He listens to us every week. He's a buddy of mine from college. And he sent me a message and said, "You went big time, dude. I'm sitting here listening to the audio version." And he says, "Jimmy Don Kerr." And I was like, "What? I almost wrecked."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, I'm jealous because I've not been in any books.
But no, that was cool. And the book is actually good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's a good read, especially if you like KSR, if you like those guys. Yeah. And Chris is funny. There's a bunch of footnotes. Chris does all the footnotes. And Chris does a podcast called The Funkhauser Situation. It's under the KSR brand. And he's just funny. He does that with Lee Cruz, the comedian. Yeah. And so he does these footnotes all through it, and it's hilarious. I mean, it really is a good book. I'll bring it over once I get done, and you can read it. So
yeah, cool.
But yeah, no, that was cool. What else we got going on?
Now, are you going to be like leaving the podcast now?
No, but I will.
Kind of because JD and I have kind of just turned into serfs since this book came out.
Look, it's a good thing we haven't been able to go out in public with Jimmy Don, because I'm sure we would have been shunned. You know what I'm saying? Like, while he was signing autographs, we'd been kicked to the side, I'm sure.
Look.
That's what I'm wondering. Are we going to have to travel like geese now? Like me and JD have to get kind of behind you and let you go first?
I thought that's...
Throw down rose petals.
What? That's not what we do now? Look, we all know that I carry the show. And, look, just the fact that I'm in a book now just further states that, I'm the man. We all know, and it helps for you all to see those things actually in print. It helps acceptance. It helps you.
No, I'm with you because I wish, like, it hurts my feelings, and people making jokes, be like, Jimmy Don and JD carry the show, and you just get stuck with being the best looking one, and it hurts my feelings.
That has never happened, by the way.
Yeah, JD is clearly the most confident on the show, because JD, obviously, I don't know how many times JD has said, "Look, I'm clearly the best looking guy in this picture," and those are all lies. I mean, look, it's look, as far as the way I see it, it's me, then me, and then me, and then somewhere, like 10th, 11th is JD and Brad.
Did you hear what he said there, JD and Brad? I just want to make that clear. But also know that Jimmy wears glasses.
Yes, Jimmy. That's what I messaged. It was on. We were going back and forth on Facebook one night, and I said something about being good looking, and JD said, "You need to wear glasses." I'm like, "Dude, I got glasses on in the picture. I'm wearing glasses. I can see how pretty I am."
You need stronger glasses.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Eric, who runs our Instagram account. He's been coming up with some ideas, through this, and it was our top 5 albums, and so I'll just start. My top 5 albums were Metallica, Master of Puppets, and that really could have been insert any Metallica album in there, but Master of Puppets is probably my favorite. I love Master. Stone Temple Pilots, Cord, their debut album. STP is probably my second favorite band. I think Hetfield and Weiland are 2 best frontmen of all time. Then NWA, Straight Outta Compton. And that goes back to what I was saying, almost like New Jack City, where, and I know we've all, and if you're listening, everybody has been through this. It's like when you're 13, 14, and you're trying to be a little rebellious, and you're listening to music that has cussing in it, right, for the first time. And the first time I heard Easy Is His Name, and the boys coming, and Easy kicks in, coming straight out of Compton. Killed me, man. I freaking love that album. I went and watched the movie. I was the only person in the movie theater down here in Inez, because in Inez, nobody knows who NWA is. And I was in there bumping up and down. Love Cube. Travis Tritt is probably my favorite country artist of all time. I know there's a lot like Garth Brooks and those guys are, probably bigger, but that Southern rock and country feel that Tritt gives, I love. And then Led Zeppelin 4, that's just classic. I mean, it's got Stairway on it. And that was probably the first album where I was introduced to Zeppelin. And there are probably Zeppelin albums that I like better. But Led Zeppelin 4 was the one that got me listening. And I want to tell a quick story, because Metallica is my favorite all-time band, okay? One of our listeners, Cindy, it was Harless when I was in school. What is Cindy's last name now, JD? Reed, that's what I thought. Okay. I actually went to my first Metallica concert with her. I think her mom, if I remember this right, her mom drove a bunch of us down there.
Okay.
And it was during the Black tour.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even really listened to Metallica then. And they melted my face off. Like, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And I became a huge Metallica fan. So if Cindy's listening, shout out to Cindy's mom, Connie, for driving us to my first Metallica show. And because it made a lifelong fan out of me of them, and I've seen them like 20 times now. So, JD, who were your band? JD had a good list. All of us had good lists.
Yeah, I thought so. But mine was obviously the best. Anyway, so I used Bush, 16 Stone. That was a killer alternative album in the 90s when I was in high school. Gavin Rosdale coming out shredding, and his vocals were on point.
And he did marry Gwen Stefani, which is a plus.
I mean, yeah. So I picked that one because, Glycerine, Come Down, Machine Head, and then there was a lot of good songs on that album they didn't release. Little Things and Everything's In. I could just put that CD on, just jam. I did put Metallica Black, with Inner Sandman and Unforgiven, all those jams, and Nothing Else Matters. Like, that was one of those CDs that was almost like as good as any greatest hit CD I've ever listened to. Man.
Yeah, dude. Every song on that album is really good. And it's so heavy. Sad But True might be one of the heaviest riffs of all time.
And so, loved that jam. So, good album. I also threw in Boyz II Men, too.
I know that one kind of surprised, probably like maybe NWA might surprise somebody, but Boyz II Men actually surprised me. It really doesn't. Knowing you kind of got that soul about you, that Boyz II Men rhythm about you. You kind of got that feel.
Well, thank you. So it was a big part of my high school years as well, man. Of course they had some other big songs on some other albums. Cooley High Harmony, had So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. But 2 was like, On Bended Knee, I'll Make Love to You, and Water Runs Dry and stuff like that. But really, I put Appetite for Destruction was another one of my albums, which I thought, I can't believe it went on everybody's.
Yeah, that's really a no-brainer, because after I saw it on yours, I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's when Axl was Axl. Yeah. That's when Guns N' Roses was Guns N' Roses, man. I mean, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 is a good album, but Appetite from start to finish is one of the best.
And that's the only reason I left it out, because I had that. I mean, that would have been my number one, but where you had it, I was trying to mix it up a little bit.
So, like, I remember a lot of fond memories, man. Like, I was a young kid when that album dropped. But I remember being at my cousin's house in Columbus, Ohio, playing on Nintendo and just blasting Appetite in the background. Like, and I knew I was going to be a rocker from a young age, And my last one was Live, Throwing Copper.
Lightning crashes.
Oh, don't make me sing. But I love that dude's vocals, man. Like, I thought his voice was one of the best instruments of the 90s, man. Like, he could really... And there was a lot of good tunes on it, too, man, besides Lightning Crashes. Selling the Drama, I Alone, and all that stuff, man. I just really enjoyed that. It's one of those albums,
The Weavers.
I just put on and just jam to it, man. So, those are my 5. Go ahead, Brad. I can't believe I didn't put any country. Like, I don't listen to a lot of country, but there are some country albums. For honorable mention for me, I had 2 that were really honorable mention. One was Not a Moment Too Soon by Tim McGraw. That album was really good. And License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. That would have been my honorable mentions.
Yeah, dude. License to Ill, man. That's such a good album. Oh. My honorable mentions were Toys in the Attic, Aerosmith, And Tyler Childers, Live at the Red Barn 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I right now listen to that all the time, which, he's a hometown boy, so.
Right. Oh, and I should probably say Chris Stapleton Traveler would have been honorable mention too. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
I had Alice in Chains Unplugged.
When I seen yours, I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of that one. But
I love the Unplugged stuff. I also had Clapton's MTV Unplugged on there.
Nirvana Unplugged too was great.
Yeah. And those were just, of the 90s, that was just some of the best listening from start to finish, I think, of anything out there. I'm a big Allman Brothers fan, so I had also had Allman Brothers Eat a Peach on there, and I had Travis Tritt, but I had Country Club.
That was the first album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
that
one.
Had Drift Off to Dreaming, those songs on there. And the last one is probably one not as many people familiar with is Need to Breathe, The Outsiders. They've got a bunch of good CDs, but that was just one of those, like the first day of the year when it's like last weekend, first day of the year when it's 70, 80 degrees where you can roll the windows down, go down the road. That's one of the CDs I'm going to listen to.
Right.
And then Eric posted his too. He does so much for us. And I said, dude, he's like, he sent me his. I was like, why don't you post yours too? And Eric's is really kind of eclectic. He had the Beatles, Abbey Road, which is a great album. Beatles are always classic. The Grateful Dead, American Beauty. Now, I'm not a big Grateful Dead fan. I never have been. I never really saw the... I know there's a lot of people like Grateful Dead, and Jerry Garcia apparently was the man. But I'm not a huge Grateful... Did you ever listen to Grateful Dead, Brad?
Not much. I had some buddies that were into them in the... What do they call them? Deadheads.
Deadhead, yeah.
When I was in high school, they were into it, so I'd listen to it some, and it was good. Like musically, they were phenomenal. I just never did really get into it myself.
That's off the same way.
Yeah, and then he had Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. I love Miles Davis. I think that's a great choice. And this Sugar Copper Blue, Eric told me, he said, you need to listen to that. So I did. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he sent it to me too, man. He actually sent me to a...
Is that like new or old? I'd never heard of it.
I think it's 90s, I think.
Yeah, it was...
it's alternative stuff, right?
It's alternative. It's more punk, kind of punk. I don't know. It's real rhythmic, melodic, kind of heavy riffs. I don't know. I thought it was good. I actually listened to it a couple of times. And then Liz Phair, Exile and Guyville, I think is what that's called. He said that's their debut album, and I don't know anything about Liz Phair.
Yeah, I don't either.
But that was Eric's list, which I thought was good. So appreciate Eric, putting that together because it brought back a lot of, just like music, I think, for everybody. It kind of, you remember where you were maybe when you heard the song, just like I remember vividly going to that Metallica concert with Cindy and them. I remember that vividly, and I remember just being like, oh my God, what is this?
I can tell you right now, when this thing's over with, a concert is something I'm going to put as a priority to go hit up, man, because I really enjoy...
Here's what we're doing. I've decided.
Okay. You want a book? Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. No, I think you guys will take my camper, go down to Louder Than Life in Louisville. Right now, the bands that are kind of rumored to be there, Metallica's going to headline one night. They were actually going to headline 2 nights. But Metallica, Chili Peppers, which is also a great concert, by the way. Californication, I love that album. Chili Peppers are awesome. Tool, I've seen them. Maynard James is insane. He's a savage. I love Maynard James. Those were the 3 that come to my mind right now. And there was one other really big band I think that was going to be there too that I would love to watch. But I went this past year and watched Guns N' Roses, and it was awesome. We definitely, I think, go to a show. I think that's something we all need to do. We'll just take the camper and camp out for the weekend and do that. We might do the Just Add Bourbon podcast from Louder Than Life.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. So, was there anything else that we wanted to talk about this week? Hour went by quick. And that was a little more fun than talking about the coronavirus for an hour. Or Trump, jeez. So we got anything else, guys? Brad, you got anything else you want to bring up?
I'm good.
No, everybody good?
I'm good.
Guys, we appreciate y'all listening. It's just, for me, this is a nice break, from everything that's going on out there. I enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode too. Listen to the president, listen to your governors, stay safe, practice social distancing, use your hand sanitizer, all those things. As JD said earlier, man, we don't want anybody to die. And apparently this virus is pretty nasty, so you guys stay safe out there. But as we always end the show, from myself, from JD, and from Brad, and that is in the order of best looking. I'm just saying.
Stronger glasses.
Yeah.
I think he needs sunglasses and a German Shepherd.
No matter how bad your week's been, or no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you next week.